Hollywood loves a dynasty. We all know the stories of the Coppolas, the Douglases, the Barrymores families that just seem born for the silver screen. But what happens when the daughter of a legendary action hero and an iconic supermodel decides to trade the red carpet for the wrestling ring? What happens when you swap a life of glamour for a world of grit, sweat, and pure physicality? Most people know her as the daughter of the ponytailed Aikido master of 90s cinema, Steven Seagal, and the supermodel who defined an era, Kelly LeBrock. But what you probably don't know is that she's traded her high heels for wrestling boots to become an absolute beast in the ring. This is the story of how Arissa LeBrock is carving her own path, one body slam at a time, and proving she's so much more than just Hollywood royalty. This is a story about legacy, not just inheriting one, but completely redefining it. The shadow of Hollywood royalty. To really get where Arissa LeBrock is going, you first have to understand where she came from. Born on July 24, 1993, she was dropped right into a world most of us only see in movies. Her father, Steven Seagal, was at the absolute peak of his fame, a martial arts phenom turned one of the biggest action stars on the planet. Her mother, Kelly LeBrock, was a global fashion icon, the woman in red, whose face was plastered on magazine covers and movie screens everywhere. It was a marriage of pure action and effortless elegance, a family built right in the heart of fame. From the outside, it probably looked like a fairy tale. But growing up as the kid of two larger-than-life people comes with a crazy amount of pressure. Every move is watched. Every choice is compared. The world just assumes you'll follow a pre-written script. For Arissa, that script had two endings: become an actress like her parents, or a model like her mother. And as a little girl, she was drawn to the glamour, admitting she'd show up to breakfast in full hair and makeup, ready to perform. But behind the scenes, things were more complicated. After her parents' very public divorce in 1996, her mother, Kelly, made a bold move. She packed up the family and left the chaos of Hollywood for a quiet ranch in Southern California. She wanted to give her kids a shot at a normal life. A life where they weren't just Steven Seagal's kids. Kelly later said she didn't want her children exposed to the negativity surrounding her divorce, and that being a mom gave her a new sense of purpose and strength. This ranch upbringing gave Arissa a different kind of greed or resilience. She says she learned from her mother, who always told her to never, ever give up. Still, the shadow of her parents' fame was long. As she got older, the world just watched and waited, wondering which path she'd take. The expectation was huge, a silent weight on her shoulders. She was Hollywood royalty, and that title came with a gilded cage of assumptions, the catwalk and the conflict. As Arissa grew up, she first stepped into the world. Her mother dominated, modeling, but she did it completely on her own terms. Arissa became a successful plus-size model, making a powerful statement in an industry famous for its narrow beauty standards. She wasn't just coasting on her famous last name. She was building her own brand, one that celebrated body positivity, and she landed on the cover of Plus Model magazine and became a face for brands like Ashley Stewart, using her platform to send a message of empowerment. In 2017, she took her story to an even bigger audience, starring with her mother on the Lifetime reality series Growing Up Supermodel. The show followed the kids of famous models trying to make it in the industry. It was here that the public got a real, unfiltered look into her life. She was brutally honest about her struggles, her relationship with her mom, and the very noticeable distance from her father. And that jump to reality TV really put a spotlight on her fractured relationship with Steven Seagal. While her mother was supportive, Arissa revealed that her father was not. She said in an interview that he called her and told her reality TV was a mistake, and that she was making a huge mistake by doing it. It was a rare, telling peek into the space between them. She was making a name for herself, but the inner conflict was obvious. She was succeeding in a world right next to her parents' fame. But was it truly her world? While she was championing body positivity on the runway, another fire was starting to burn, one that connected to her father's legacy in a way nobody saw coming, but would be entirely her own. She was fighting for a place in fashion, but soon she'd be fighting in a totally different arena. The pivot from runway to ring. For most people, jumping from plus-size modeling to professional wrestling sounds like it comes out of left field. One world is all about aesthetics and image. The other is about brute force and raw athleticism. But for Arissa LeBrock, it was the perfect, most unexpected fusion of her DNA, her mother's star presence and her father's deep roots in martial arts. For years, Arissa had been quietly training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a passion that connected her to the combat arts that made her dad famous. This wasn't some random whim. It was a passion she'd been building away from the spotlight. The first big public step came in 2019 when Arissa landed a WWE tryout. It was a clear signal she was serious about this new direction. She even came up with the perfect ring name, Arissa LeBrock, a clever nod to her father's signature move. But the dream was put on hold almost immediately. A serious injury forced her to step back, a crushing blow for anyone trying to break into the brutal world of pro wrestling. It looked like her new dream might be over before it even started. For a while, Arissa was in a dark place. But then, a phone call changed everything. The call came from Dustin Rhodes, the wrestling legend also known as Goldust, a veteran of WWE and the head of the acclaimed Rhodes Wrestling Academy. Rhodes, a wrestling royal himself, saw something special in Arissa's potential, dedication, and a hunger to prove herself. Arissa has described this as a major turning point. She said, "When I got the call from Dustin, I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life. It was time for me to give every ounce of passion within me to professional wrestling." This was her second chance. She packed her bags, moved to Austin, Texas, and dove headfirst into the grueling, transformative training at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. The runway was officially in the rearview. The wrestling ring was her future. This is a story about pure transformation. It's about someone refusing to live in a shadow and deciding to build something entirely new. If you love stories about people forging their own path, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you stories like this every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. Now let's get back to the making of a wrestling beast. Training to be a pro wrestler is no joke. It's a relentless grind that pushes you physically, mentally, and emotionally. At the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, Arissa LeBrock wasn't treated like a celebrity's daughter. She was a rookie, and she had to earn her spot just like everyone else. Under the guidance of Dustin Rhodes, she was broken down and rebuilt into a fighter, and her coach, the legendary Dustin Rhodes, has been singing her praises. In interviews, he's shared his excitement and admiration for her work ethic, noting how she came from the modeling world and immediately put in the work, even getting personal trainers to get all her ducks in a row. Rhodes has been crystal clear she's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her. That's not just a coach hyping up his student. Rhodes, a guy who has seen it all, seems genuinely impressed by her drive. He's even predicted that pretty soon the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa. That kind of endorsement from someone like Dustin Rhodes is gold in the wrestling world. It gives her instant credibility not because of her last name, but because of her sweat. In March 2023, Arissa hit a huge milestone. After graduating from the academy, she competed in her first wrestling showcase. This was her unofficial debut, a chance to perform for a crowd and put all that training to the test. Videos from her training and showcase reveal an athlete who is both incredibly powerful and surprisingly agile. She's becoming a warrior, mixing raw strength with the kind of showmanship that captures a wrestling audience. Her journey is even more remarkable because of the challenges she's overcome outside the ring. Arissa has been open about her personal struggles, including being single-sided deaf, a condition that makes an already demanding job even harder. Her willingness to be vulnerable, combined with her incredible physical transformation, makes her story that much more compelling. She's not just building a wrestling persona, she's showing the world that strength comes in all forms. She's aspiring to become a WWE star, not just because of her family, but because of her hard-earned skills and her unique story of resilience. A legacy redefined. So, what does this all mean? What is the legacy Arissa LeBrock is actually building? It's a legacy of pure defiance. Defiance against expectations, against typecasting, and against the easy road that was already paved for her. It would have been simple to just stay a model, to be a reality TV personality, to be the daughter of, but she chose the harder path. She chose to completely remake herself, inside and out. In a March 2024 interview, Arissa reflected on her journey, saying she never wanted to use her famous name to get ahead. She said, "Some people told me I was stupid for that. I wanted people to see me for me." And that idea, that's the heart of her entire story. While trying to make it as a model, she waitressed just to get by, determined to build a name for herself without relying on her parents' fame. Her move to wrestling is the ultimate proof of that desire. Pro wrestling is a meritocracy. The crowd is the final judge. You can't fake it in the ring. The pain is real, the training is real, and the bond with the audience has to be real. Arissa LeBrock is stepping into an arena where her last name might get people to look once, but it won't earn her respect. Only her skill, her charisma, and her heart can do that. She has taken the two dominant threads of her DNA, the action hero and the fashion icon, and woven them into something new and uniquely her own. She has her father's physicality, but channels it through the epic storytelling of the squared circle. She has her mother's magnetic presence, but uses it to shatter stereotypes and prove that strength and femininity aren't mutually exclusive. She's not running from her parents' legacy. She's honoring it in the most authentic way possible, by using the strengths they gave her to build her own monument. Seagal was a master of Aikido on the big screen. Arissa LeBrock is becoming a master of the suplex and the body slam in the wrestling ring. Kelly LeBrock commanded the runway with her confidence. Arissa LeBrock is learning to command an entire arena with her power. The story of Arissa LeBrock is still being written. She is at the very beginning of a wrestling journey that started with a WWE tryout, was nearly ended by an injury, and was reborn with a fateful call from a wrestling icon. She has faced down personal struggles, public scrutiny, and a crushing weight of a famous name to get to this very moment. She has swapped a life of Hollywood glamour for the grueling reality of a pro wrestler's training. She's chosen bruises over beauty shoots, and the roar of a wrestling crowd over the flash of paparazzi cameras. And in doing so, she's answering the question that follows every child of a celebrity. What will you become? Arissa LeBrock has chosen to become a fighter. not just in the ring, but in life. She is fighting to create her own identity, to prove her own worth, and to build a legacy that is hers and hers alone. She is no longer just Steven Seagal's daughter or Kelly LeBrock's daughter. She is Arissa LeBrock, the wrestling beast, and her chapter is just getting started. What do you think of Arissa LeBrock's wild journey from the runway to the wrestling ring? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story of a legacy redefined, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the most fascinating stories in sports and entertainment. Thanks for watching.